Welcome to our presentation, Connecting the Wonder of STEM and Language Learning for All Learners. This presentation is part of a series of presentations available on the Science 2020 website to be used for professional development purposes. My name is May Lee, and I'm the project coordinator of Science 2020. I was a classroom teacher in 6th and 7th grade and a K2 ESL teacher. My current work focuses on pre-service teacher learning and in-service teacher professional development. I'm excited to explore how science can be used as a vehicle for language and literacy development in both in and out of school spaces.
My name is Jennifer Cody. I'm a mother of 4 and have been teaching 5th grade for a school district in central Pennsylvania for 13 years. As a teacher, I spend a lot of time encouraging students to develop and use their voices to advocate for change regarding topics that are important to them. I develop place-based education experiences with my students and work to teach them the importance of caring about local issues. I recently earned my ESL certification and am a graduate student at the Pennsylvania State University working on my PhD in curriculum and instruction, specifically science education and language learning. During our presentation, we will address the following 3 points. First, we will introduce you to our community center partner and will elaborate on the context of their after-school program. Next, we will discuss the ways in which STEM education can serve as an effective vehicle for language acquisition. Finally, we'll share details about the Community Center's Makerspace Lab and the integration of an engineering curriculum resource, all of this in the spirit of providing an engaging context for language learners to use their language excitedly and effectively.
Before we jump into our discussion on the Community Center and STEM education, we'd like to provide a little background about our project. Our project is called Science 2020, and by Science 2020, we mean bringing language learning into focus for our English learners and emergent bilinguals. It is a clear vision for providing professional learning experiences for in-service teachers, pre-service teachers, administrators, and after-school staff, with language learners at the heart of all of our work. Again, our work is funded by a National Professional Development Grant out of the U.S. Department of Education's Office of English Language Acquisition. Science 2020 is conceptualized around 4 main goals. The first goal is to foster ambitious and equitable science teaching practices in our project partners in elementary school classrooms. Our second goal is to build capacity among teachers, administrators, and teacher educators to support the preparation of pre-service elementary teachers. The third goal is to develop relationships among project partners by including parents and community educators in professional development activities. Our fourth goal is to create an online platform that houses professional development resources for the project.
Our work leverages the school-university community partnerships. Our partners include the school district with a large EL population and the community center. Since Science 2020 is a national professional development project, our team provides professional learning to school district teachers and community educators. As part of the partnership, Penn State students are afforded a variety of opportunities to engage in early embedded field experiences, such as virtually tutoring students from the community center and internship opportunities to work with English learners and their teachers. The focus of this presentation is on our partnership work with the community center.
Like we mentioned before, the Science 2020 framework positions English learners or emergent bilinguals at the center of our work to think about students as knowers. This diagram picture demonstrates the connection between language and literacy development, learning science and scientific practices, and the local knowledge that students bring to the classroom. We are going to begin by describing the context of the town, as well as highlighting our connections with families and communities.
The town where we work is considered a new immigrant destination with one of the fastest growing Latinx populations in the state of Pennsylvania. According to the 2000 United States Census, the population of this city was 92.7% of white and non-Hispanic origin, while the Hispanic population accounted for 2.7% of the total residents. In 2010, The US Census showed that non Latinx whites made up 59% of the population, a decrease of 28.66%, and the Hispanic population was now 37.3%. The 8.6% population growth in the city between 2000 and 2010 is attributed to the new immigrant population, a 735% increase for this group in 10 years. The school district in this community is one of the largest urban districts in Pennsylvania, with over 13,000 students spanning 3 counties. The district is comprised of 2 early learning centers, grades K through 2, 7 elementary and middle schools, grades 3 through 8, and 3 high schools.
Around 2006, the mayor and the town passed the Illegal Immigration Relief Act. Through this act, employers were heavily fined for hiring undocumented workers. Additionally, landlords were heavily fined for renting to undocumented tenants. Because of this act, English became the official language of the town. The photo and the sign that's posted in an establishment in town is still there 14 years later. Tensions still run high in this community as the population has become more and more diverse.
The demographic shift in this town was and continues to be a topic at the forefront of considerations regarding the town and has led to much tension in the community. The founder of our community center partner is a prominent citizen of the town. He recognized a great need in the community for families and students to have a shared space to come together. The community center provides important services for its patrons, such as an after-school program where students receive STEM enrichment and homework help, adult English classes, and many other offerings to support its new residents in adjusting to life in this community.
For a nominal fee, parents are able to enroll their students in an after-school program offered by the community center. The center has a continuous waiting list for this program as families see it very beneficial for their children. Because of this, there is a great disconnect between home and school. The community center views themselves as a liaison in the position to bridge the gap between home and school.
One of the missions of Science 2020 is to partner with families and community members to also try and help bridge the gap between home and school. We've been able to successfully connect with families in this community through our partnership with the community center because families are very comfortable at the center, as many of the faculty speak Spanish.
Science 2020 has been able to develop friendly and productive relationships with community center families. This is due in large part to successfully connecting with families when the students are picked up from the after-school program. We have also been able to bring together families to create a group to begin to discuss important issues regarding their children's education and lived experiences. As a result, they have organized workshops centered around various topics relevant to school.
Science 2020 is working to support teachers in each of our partner settings to understand the prior and lived knowledge of all of the students. Additionally, in working with teachers to plan instruction, we are foregrounding language acquisition in teaching and planning and are encouraging primary language supports and lesson plans.
Scientific knowledge and understandings come in many forms and often draw upon learners' everyday lived experiences. Designing instruction that is informed by the knowledge and resources embedded in students' home and community has the potential to support the conceptual development of students' scientific thinking and sense-making, as well as their longer-term interest in science and engineering. It is important to recognize that a student who does not understand science concepts taught in English is not lacking science knowledge. They need opportunities to show what they know through science investigations, drawing, gesturing, and various modalities. It is the job of the teacher to tap into the student's knowledge. It is the job of Science 2020 to support teachers in developing an understanding of the myriad of ways to do this work.
The after-school teachers at the community center are not certified teachers, but are dedicated human beings who care deeply about the well-being of children. They're members of the community who often have a day job but work in the community center in the late afternoon because they recognize the importance of the work. One of our big challenges at the community center was to support the after-school teachers in learning to provide effective and authentic education experiences for students while still meeting the objectives of the community center. One of the main goals is to bridge the space between home and school by providing homework help. As a result, we developed a professional development series for the after school educators centered on an engineering curriculum.
Based on our previous experiences using elementary level engineering curriculum for students, we decided to work with the centers to implement the after school program version. One of the reasons for introducing the engineering curriculum at the center is because they have no curriculum or resources in this area. Because the educators had no experiences with curriculum development, we decided it would be best to introduce them to a program designed specifically for after school context. In addition, we planned to provide professional development opportunities centered on this resource for the program and staff.
The after school setting is interesting and consists of multi age grouping. The multi age grouping occurs in large part in order to keep class sizes equal. It's been our experience that the way students are grouped varies from year to year based on the amount of staff available to teach at the center. In our work with the community center and as we got to know the students, we realized that they were excited about the idea of participating in science experiences, but were not super excited about the type of school science they were doing, as it was largely centered on reading and vocabulary memorization with very few opportunities to actually participate in science. When we share our ideas about science education and STEM learning with them, we found they had a particular affinity towards science and STEM. They were curious, engaged, and excited about STEM, so we leveraged this interest to bring STEM into the after school program at the community center.
In conjunction with the engineering program, we also worked with the center to open a STEM learning lab where students can learn to work with coding and interesting technologies such as Makey Makeys, Ozobots, and 3D printing. Through a number of grant funding resources, the center found themselves with money to develop a STEM lab, with no true expertise to know what to purchase or how to implement this type of program for students. Science 2020 helped to establish the lab, and once it was up and running, the teachers recognized an authentic opportunity for a type of mentoring relationship during which older students at the center would learn to use the various technologies as taught by Science 2020 staff. Once the older students had a firm grasp of the technologies, they worked with younger students to teach them about what they had learned.
As we work to keep our project framework at the forefront of our teaching and planning in all of our partner settings, you will see that we will now turn toward the implementation of scientific practices at the community center.
Everyone from the center director to the teachers often discuss that they want to provide opportunities for students to engage in authentic experiences to use and learn English. We brainstormed with those at the center to determine the best ways to provide authentic experiences for reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Our partnership with the school district had shown us that when students are really engaged in phenomena centered science investigations, they are much more willing and able to engage in practices to acquire English. An integral part of the professional learning experience was to work together to enact ways to support and challenge language learners. We did this through integrating language learning strategies into teaching the curriculum. For example, the use of primary language supports such as cognate charts and the use of preview, view, and review were just some of the strategies that we discussed.
As a part of the Science 2020 framework, we're working to examine the ways in which science practices foster language and literacy development. Through the use of authentic STEM design challenges incorporated by the Engineering Adventures curriculum, students are provided with an exciting vehicle to foster their curiosity and develop their language and literacy practices through listening, speaking, reading, and writing about their experiences with the Engineering Adventures STEM design challenges.
The Literacy in Science provided tools for our community educators to incorporate reading in authentic ways. The materials provided by EIE also provided audio recordings that helped students work independently if they missed the after-school enrichment session for that day. This resource also provided a way to bridge home and the lessons at the community center because parents could access the information as well.
We have found that through this engineering work, students are provided with many opportunities to use the domains of language to foster sense making as they listen to their peers and colleagues and share their prior science knowledge through science discourse. Engineering Adventures comes with an app designed for kids to use a special QR code to play audio messages from India and Jacob, the Engineering Adventures traveling duo.
Engineering is Elementary is largely available in Spanish, which was a perfect addition at the center since the first language of a majority of the students attending the center was Spanish.
Because one of the central missions of the community center is to facilitate English language and literacy development, we decided to leverage curricular intersectionality. Through this resource, we were able to support the after-school teachers in providing authentic opportunities for reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Students are way more enthusiastic about acquiring English when they see what they're learning is applicable and relevant to their lives.
As we worked with students and community educators, we learned that when implemented consistently, the students were excited to build on their previous understandings.
As we begin to wrap up our presentation, we would like to thank Dr. Carla Zembelsel for all of her guidance and support. We would also like to thank our colleagues and friends who are partners in change and keep us learning and laughing. We want to thank the teachers and students who share their classrooms with us so that others may learn and grow in education. And finally, a thank you to the Office of English Language Acquisition for funding the Science 2020 work.
If you have any questions or would like additional information about Science 2020, please use the information on this slide to contact us. Thank you for spending this time with us.